unfortunately, that's kind of how life is now. So we were talking about that before, coming to Russia. I was explaining how I'm currently in Germany. I flew from Cologne to Gdansk. I got on the bus to Kaliningrad and then flew Kaliningrad to St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's kind of how life is now. If you're traveling to Russia, you have to jump through all of these.
There's some hoops.
Yeah. You can't just take the, easy flight. Through Europe, but what's the route that you typically take if you're traveling?
Yeah, so now I coming from Utah, from Salt Lake City, and I fly into Paris or Amsterdam, and then to Finland, or sometimes they're direct flights to Finland, and then me coming to St. Petersburg, Helsinki, the capital of Finland, is not that far of a bus ride. It's 7 hours or so. And that's the route that's been the easiest and cheapest for me.
Okay.
So there's other options. You can go through Turkey. So you can fly like Russia to Turkey and then Turkey to the US. But I've seen that being a lot more expensive.
Have you taken that route already?
I haven't, no. I've only gone through Finland. Of course, it used to be easier. Used to fly from St. Petersburg directly to one of the capitals in Europe and then directly to, Salt Lake City, my city. But now the only downside is that bus trip because there's very few countries that are flying into Russia, in and out of Russia. You have Turkey, you have Dubai, Serbia is another route. So Serbia has direct flights from the US, in particular, if you're in the US, or St. Petersburg or Moscow. So that's kind of like a hub, one stop in between. But Finland works pretty well. It's cost effective, and the bus ride isn't too bad.
So I took the bus from Gdansk to Kaliningrad. Gdansk and Kaliningrad are on the same time. That took about 3 hours. And then when I flew to St. Petersburg, the time difference kicked in. I didn't know how long I would stay at the border, how long that would take. So I didn't buy the bus ticket ahead of time. When you go on the Lux Express, I guess you buy the ticket because you're flying, it starts in Helsinki.
Yes. So what I do is maybe not typical for everybody. I mean, I have the ability to stay in a hotel there overnight. So every time I go, because I don't want to take a 7-hour bus and then be waiting for a flight and then have a very long flight to the US, I like to break up my travel. So I actually stay in Helsinki for one night and I plan my flight the next day.
Right.
So, you're looking at maybe, it depends on the hotel, but anywhere from 50 euros to 150 euros. But that way it breaks it down and I don't have to worry about missing something. Because sometimes on the border now, it depends when you're going on the bus. I don't know what it depends on, but sometimes they're stopping the foreigners and interviewing them, kind of a little interview. They call it kind of an interrogation, but it doesn't really feel like that. It's just, what are you doing? Why do you have connections in Russia? How long are you going to be there? So planning for that's important. Because you never know.
I think maybe the Helsinki route is probably a better route than what I took, because if you're going from any Western country, you fly into Helsinki, even if you wanted to hop on the bus right away and you don't know how long you're going to stay at the border, crossing the border, getting questioned, you don't have another bus or flight to catch. Right?
That's the last
That's the
stop.
last. Yeah.
It's just that no matter what, you're going to end up in St. Petersburg. It might be an hour earlier, it might be a few hours later, but you're going to get here.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the downside of going through Kaliningrad. It's also very economical. I got a low-cost flight to Gdansk, but the problem was that my first flight was 30 minutes late, almost missed the bus in Gdansk to Kaliningrad, and then at the border, I didn't get my flight from Kaliningrad to St. Petersburg, or you could fly, to Moscow. I think you can fly Moscow or St. Petersburg. From Kaliningrad, you can fly.
Yeah, anywhere, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of
most
cities.
Russian cities
Yeah.
that Westerner would go to, you can fly from Kaliningrad. But the issue there is you don't know how long you're going to be at the border, and you have a flight to catch. So if I were to do that route one more time, I would go through, I'd take the same route. It wasn't a problem, mostly because I'm originating from Germany. I would stay overnight, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, I would just say, okay, I'm not gonna stress, stay overnight. You could stay overnight in Kaliningrad for very reasonable prices.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Kaliningrad's an interesting city.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I hadn't even considered that route, but I mean, for me, that would make sense for people in Europe, I guess.
Yeah.
From the U.S., I don't really see that as being a possibility.
Yeah, I think you're right. I
It
mean,
would be either Serbia, Finland, Turkey.
for people in the U.S., it depends
US.
on their budget. That's probably the most like if they can get a flight to London, they could get a low coster to Gdansk.
That's true. If you want to hop around on buses or mess with that, you could probably do it.